The contract. Dr. Jessica Miller's fingers traced along the holographic text, her eyes reflecting the soft blue glow of alien legalese. The Zixteri delegation shifted uncomfortably in their hover seats as she reached page 9,847 of the contract. None of them had expected a human to actually read the entire document. "Ambassador Katol," she said, looking up at the mantis-like alien, "could you explain why Section 487B contradicts the resource allocation terms in Appendix 23? Her translator rendered the words in perfect Zixteri mathematical notation, causing the alien's antennae to twitch in surprise. The Grand Meeting Chamber, nestled within Ganymede Station, had hosted 3 weeks of negotiations. Its transparent dome offered a breathtaking view of Jupiter's swirling storms, but today all eyes focused on the petite woman systematically dismantling the galaxy's most predatory trade agreement. A simple oversight, Katol chittered, his mandibles clicking in what his species considered a dismissive gesture. "We can adjust. And this oversight just happens to create a loophole allowing unilateral contract termination after 50 years. Jessica pulled up another hologram, this one showing complex mathematical projections, precisely when Earth's terraforming projects would be reaching their critical phase. The junior members of the Zixteri delegation exchanged nervous glances. Their species prided themselves on their mathematical precision in legal matters. Yet this human had spotted a trap that took their best legal minds months to craft. "Dr. Miller." Katol's translator struggled to convey his growing irritation. "Perhaps we should focus on the broader implications of this historic partnership. The consortium offers humanity unprecedented access to terraforming technology. Surely minor technical details." "There are no minor details in contracts, Ambassador." Jessica stood, her height barely reaching the alien's thorax. "Just as there are no minor details in terraforming. One miscalculation, one overlooked clause, and entire worlds become uninhabitable." She gestured to the window, where Saturn's rings glimmered faintly in the distance. "You want mining rights to those rings for 200 years. In exchange, you offer technology that will reshape Mars, Venus, and several moons. Both sides are dealing with astronomical stakes. That's why I've prepared an alternative contract." The human delegation, silent until now, activated their datapads. Jessica's revised contract appeared on the chamber's main display, its text annotated with quantum equations and resource calculations. "You'll find every clause is reciprocal," she continued. "The technology transfer schedule matches the resource extraction timeline. Any breach triggers proportional compensation mechanisms. And most importantly," she smiled, "everything is quantified down to the atomic level." Katol's translator took 3 attempts to process his next statement. "You revised our entire proposal. In 3 weeks. 2 weeks, actually. The first week was spent learning your legal system's mathematical foundations." Jessica's smile remained pleasant, but her eyes hardened. "We also took the liberty of calculating fair market values for all technologies and resources involved. You'll notice our numbers differ significantly from your initial estimates." The human delegation watched as their alien counterparts huddled together, their mathematical language flying faster than the translators could process. Jessica used the break to sip her coffee, her calm demeanor masking the fact that she hadn't slept in 3 days while preparing this counter-proposal. Finally, Katol approached her again. "Your revisions are unexpectedly thorough. The consortium will require time to review." "You have 1 hour," Jessica interrupted. "After that, we'll be entertaining offers from the Proxima Coalition. They've expressed interest in a similar arrangement." The threat wasn't subtle. The consortium and coalition had been economic rivals for centuries. The thought of human ingenuity and Saturn's resources falling into their competitors' hands sent the Zixteri into another frenzied discussion. 58 minutes later, Toll pressed his appendage to the quantum-secured contract, binding his people to the most precisely worded agreement in consortium history. As the signatures were registered across galactic databases, Jessica allowed herself a small smile. What the consortium didn't realize was that humanity's obsession with honoring agreements would prove far more transformative than any technology they could offer. The age of loose contracts and casual betrayals in galactic commerce was about to end. The betrayal. Amanda Cooper stood at the observation deck of Orbital Platform 7, watching automated harvesters dance through Saturn's rings. Each machine moved with surgical precision, their quantum fields separating valuable materials from ice and rock. Below her, holographic displays tracked every gram extracted, every joule expended. "Ma'am," her assistant's voice broke through her contemplation. "You need to see this." The neural feed displayed market fluctuations across consortium space. To most observers, the patterns would seem random, but Amanda had spent 15 years studying alien economic patterns, and these ripples meant only one thing: political instability. "Download everything," she ordered, her fingers already dancing across haptic interfaces. "Initiate protocol ledger, and get me Dr. Miller on quantum comm." The next 48 hours passed in a blur of activity. While the galaxy watched the consortium's political structure crumble, Amanda's team worked with quiet efficiency. Every resource extraction record, every technology transfer log, every single transaction from the past 50 years was being backed up across multiple secure networks. When the announcement finally came, they were ready. The new Xterra government, calling itself the Progressive Unity, broadcast its declaration across all channels. Their spokesman, Supreme Director Exelith, spoke with the arrogant certainty of those who believed Mike made right. "All prior agreements made by the corrupt consortium are hereby nullified." The translation echoed through human space. "We begin anew, unburdened by the past." Amanda was already moving before the broadcast ended. Her team had prepared for this possibility since day one, a fact that would have shocked their alien partners had they known. Humans hadn't survived centuries of their own cutthroat business practices without learning to plan for betrayal. "Initiate response phase 1, she commanded. Throughout the Saturn mining operations, quantum-locked containers began sealing themselves. Harvesters switched to their independent protocols, their AI cores implementing contingency programs that had waited 50 years to activate. The first hint that humans weren't reacting as expected came 3 days later. Instead of protests or military posturing, they received documentation. Precise, overwhelming, irrefutable documentation. Amanda personally delivered the first package to the Progressive Unity's embassy on Mars. The quantum-secured data crystal contained 50 years of mining operations, logged down to individual atoms. Each extraction was time-stamped, categorized, and valued according to both current market rates and the original contract terms. "What is this?" the Unity's representative demanded. "Our receipt," Amanda replied, her smile reminiscent of a wolf. "And our bill." She activated a hologram showing the technical specifications of every terraforming system the consortium had promised. "You've received 50 years of our resources. According to Article 47C of the original contract, technology transfer delays incur compound interest." The alien diplomat's translator struggled to convey his mix of confusion and dismissal. "The Unity does not recognize old consortium debts. This is known." "Oh, we understand that." Amanda's smile didn't waver. "That's why we're not asking the Unity to honor the consortium's agreement. We're presenting you with a new bill, calculated from the market value of resources already extracted. Unless, of course, you'd like to return 50 years of mining proceeds." She let that sink in. The Unity could either acknowledge the debt or admit to having received stolen goods from every human mining operation. Either way, humanity now had legal leverage. "This is unprecedented," the diplomat protested. "No species has ever kept such detailed records. Calculated compound interest across 50 years of galactic market fluctuations, prepared for both compliance and breach scenarios from day one." Amanda's tone remained pleasant, but her eyes held the same steel that Dr. Miller's had shown 50 years ago. "Perhaps you should have studied human financial history before attempting to void our contracts." As she left the embassy, Amanda sent a quantum-encrypted message to Earth's government. Phase 1 complete. They took the bait. Recommend initiating Operation Payback. The Unity would soon learn what the old consortium never understood. Humans didn't just sign contracts, they enforced them. And 50 years of carefully documented resources and technology transfers were about to become the foundation of humanity's greatest leap forward. The galaxy had no idea that humanity's obsession with proper bookkeeping was about to change everything. The response. Colonel Michael Hayes stood before the United Earth Council, his dress uniform pristine as he addressed the assembled representatives. Behind him, holographic displays showed thousands of human specialists, scientists, soldiers, engineers, and strategists. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, the Human Debt Resolution Agency isn't just about collecting what we're owed. It's about turning our greatest perceived weakness into our strongest advantage. The chamber's displays shifted, showing various alien worlds where former consortium species held power. Each location was marked with detailed technological assessments and strategic values. The Unity believes we'll accept their betrayal like every other primitive species before us. Instead, we're going to offer them something unprecedented. Hayes gestured, and the display focused on training programs and deployment schedules. We're going to pay off our supposed debt with service. Murmurs filled the chamber. A representative from the Asian coalition stood. You want to send our best people to work for those who betrayed us. Hayes smiled, the expression reminiscent of a chess master revealing their gambit. No, counselor. I want to send our best people to learn everything our former partners know, while they're too arrogant to realize what we're doing. The presentation shifted to show detailed analysis of alien technological capabilities. Every species in the former consortium has pieces of advanced technology. None of them have the full picture. They're too suspicious of each other to share knowledge freely. He highlighted various specialist teams. We'll offer our service as debt repayment. The Unity's members will think they're getting free labor. What they're actually getting is the galaxy's largest technological espionage operation, hidden in plain sight. Dr. Jessica Miller, now Earth's chief scientific advisor, stepped forward. We've already identified key positions where our specialists can gain access to critical technologies. The aliens think human dedication to paying debts is a sign of servility. They don't understand that we're turning their own arrogance into our greatest opportunity. The displays showed hundreds of potential placement locations, each carefully chosen for maximum intelligence gathering potential. Every human we send will be part of a coordinated network, Hayes continued. While they think we're working off our debt, we'll be building a comprehensive understanding of galactic technology that no single species possesses. A military council member raised her hand. And they'll just let us walk into their sensitive facilities. They already are, Hayes revealed, bringing up footage of human specialists being welcomed on various worlds. Our reputation for honoring debts makes us seem harmless. The Unity's members are actually competing to accept our debt payments in the form of human workers. The chamber erupted in laughter as they realized the implications. Their supposed masters were fighting over who would get to teach humans their most closely guarded secrets. But it gets better, Hayes continued, his expression serious. Every human specialist we send carries quantum-encrypted data collection systems. Everything they learn, every innovation they see, every process they master gets transmitted back to Earth through our deep space network. The display shifted to show a massive database structure. We're not just gathering information, we're cross-referencing it. When we're done, humanity will understand how all these different technologies interact in ways the individual species never considered. Dr. Miller took over, highlighting specific technological sectors. They think we're being humble, offering to work off a debt we don't even owe. In reality, we're about to learn more about galactic technology in a few years than we could have discovered in centuries of normal development. The council chambers fell silent as the full scope of the operation became clear. They weren't just planning to repay a debt. They were orchestrating the greatest technological leap forward in human history. The best part, Hayes concluded, It's all completely legal. We're literally telling them we're going to work to repay our debt. It's not our fault if they don't realize exactly how much we're going to learn in the process. As the council voted unanimously to approve Operation Payback, Hayes allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's obsession with paying its debts was far more dangerous than any war fleet could ever be. The warning signs. Major Emily Richardson pretended not to notice the anxious glances from her Proximant supervisors as she adjusted their defense grid's targeting systems. Her fingers danced across the alien interface with practiced ease, making changes that their own engineers hadn't thought possible. The targeting response is now 13 milliseconds faster, she announced, her translator converting the words into the musical tones of Proximant speech. I've also reduced power consumption by 28%. Supreme Commander Valthor's sensor stalks wavered in disbelief. How did you? Our best engineers spent cycles trying to achieve such results. Emily maintained her carefully crafted expression of humble dedication. I merely applied some basic principles from our orbital defense studies. It's the least I can do while working off humanity's debt. What she didn't mention was how those basic principles came from combining 3 different technological approaches she'd learned from other debt repayment assignments. The quantum-encrypted data crystal nestled in her neural implant had already transmitted the breakthrough back to Earth. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as human debt servants systematically transformed every workplace they entered. In the Centaurian shipyards, technical specialist Robert Chen was accidentally discovering new applications for their quantum drive technology. The Centaurians celebrated their good fortune in receiving such a dedicated worker, not realizing he'd already mastered similar systems from 3 other species. Your improvement to the manifold alignment is unprecedented, Chief Engineer Crix admitted, their crystalline form vibrating with excitement. How did you conceive of such an approach? Robert shrugged modestly. Just applying human engineering principles to your excellent design. I hope it helps offset some of our debt. The real breakthrough wasn't in any single improvement. It was in the growing database back on Earth, where seemingly unrelated technological advances were being analyzed for patterns no single species had noticed. In the Regellian Research Institute, Dr. Sarah Martinez was revolutionizing their biomechanical interfaces while carefully maintaining her cover as a humble debt worker. Her simple suggestions drew from classified research from 6 different species, none of whom realized their closely guarded secrets were being synthesized into something entirely new. You seem to have a natural intuition for our technology, her Regellian supervisor observed, appendages twitching with curiosity. Sarah ducked her head in apparent modesty. I'm just grateful for the opportunity to learn while paying humanity's obligations. The first real warning sign came during a routine inspection of a Proximant quantum communications array. Emily had been making minor adjustments when a visiting Zixteri engineer recognized a mathematical sequence that should have been impossible for humans to know. This configuration, the engineer chittered nervously, it resembles classified Unity research. Emily didn't miss a beat. Oh, I derived it from first principles while studying your graciously provided training materials. Perhaps great minds think alike across species. The engineer left unconvinced, but could prove nothing. Humanity's reputation for technological innovation was growing, but their apparent dedication to debt repayment made them seem harmless. After all, what could be threatening about a species so committed to paying what they thought they owed? Back on Earth, Colonel Hayes reviewed the latest data streams from his deployed specialists. The technological synthesis was proceeding faster than anyone had anticipated. Humans weren't just learning alien technology. They were understanding it in ways the original inventors never had. They still think we're just being thorough, he commented to Dr. Miller during their weekly briefing. None of them have realized that their entire technological foundation is being reconstructed in ways they never imagined. Miller nodded, studying the latest breakthrough reports. The real question is, how long until they notice that their debt servants have become their technological equals, or in some cases, their superiors? By then, Hayes smiled, it will be far too late. After all, we're just paying our debts. How could anyone object to that? Across the galaxy, thousands of humans continued their work, each seemingly focused only on their assigned tasks. None of their alien supervisors realized they were watching the greatest technological uplift in galactic history, disguised as a simple matter of debt repayment. The Revolution. Technical specialist James Turner stood before the Sixtary Science Council, his presentation displaying what he modestly called a minor improvement to their quantum computing architecture. The assembled aliens shifted uncomfortably as they processed the implications of his work. "You've merged our quantum processing with proximant crystalline matrices," one council member observed, their mandibles clicking rapidly. "That should be theoretically impossible." James maintained his carefully practiced expression of earnest helpfulness. "Not impossible, honored council. Just unexplored. By studying your generous tutorials, I noticed certain resonance patterns that aligned with crystalline structures I observed during my previous debt service." What he didn't mention was how this breakthrough combined technologies from 7 different species, creating something entirely new. The quantum encrypted transmitter embedded in his neural interface had already sent the complete specifications to Earth. Previous debt service. Another council member's antennae twitched. "You've worked with proximant technology." Of course, James smiled disarmingly. "Humanity owes a debt to many species. We're very thorough about repaying everyone." The revolution wasn't happening in grand announcements or dramatic revelations. It was spreading through thousands of small improvements across hundreds of worlds, each one carefully designed to seem like a natural evolution of existing technology. In the Centaurian Medical Institute, Dr. Lisa Morgan was revolutionizing their neural interface systems. Her simple refinements drew from classified research she gathered from multiple species during her debt service tours. "Your enhancement to the synaptic bridge is remarkable," her supervisor noted, crystal facets gleaming with excitement. "How did you conceive of using quantum entanglement at the neural level?" Lisa ducked her head modestly. "Just applying basic principles from my previous assignments. I hope it helps balance our ledger somewhat." The real breakthrough was happening in the secure data vaults beneath Earth's surface, where artificial intelligences synthesized the flood of innovations from field operatives. Each minor improvement was a piece of a larger puzzle, forming a technological revolution no single species had imagined possible. Commander David Chen, overseeing the Regellian defense grid updates, casually introduced programming protocols that would later prove compatible with every major system humanity had studied. The Regellians celebrated their improved efficiency, not realizing they were implementing the foundation of a galactic network. "Your code optimization is unprecedented," his Regellian superior noted, tentacles waving in appreciation. "How do you humans keep developing such elegant solutions?" "We're motivated by our obligations," Chen replied with practiced humility. "Debt repayment focuses the mind wonderfully." The first major warning sign appeared during a routine technology exchange conference. A Sixtary theorist noticed that recent improvements across multiple sectors followed a pattern, one that suggested a deeper understanding of universal principles than any single species should possess. These innovations, the theorist announced to the gathered scientists, they share mathematical signatures, almost as if someone were working from a unified theory of technological development. James offered helpfully. "Perhaps great minds across species think alike. After all, we're all studying the same universal constants." The theorists subsided, but the seed of suspicion was planted. Across the galaxy, various species began noticing how human debt servants kept developing solutions that somehow worked perfectly with other human improvements, creating an ever-expanding web of compatible technologies. Back on Earth, Colonel Hayes and Dr. Miller reviewed the latest synthesis reports. The technological integration was proceeding faster than their most optimistic projections. "They're starting to notice the patterns," Miller observed, studying the incident reports. "How long until they realize these aren't isolated improvements?" By then, "It won't matter," Hayes replied, displaying the latest integration maps. "Every improvement we've introduced is designed to work with every other innovation. We're not just advancing technology, we're unifying it in ways they never imagined possible." Across the galaxy, human specialists continued their quiet revolution, each seemingly focused only on repaying humanity's debt through dedicated service. None of their alien supervisors realized they were witnessing the birth of a technological synthesis that would reshape galactic civilization, all hidden behind the simple premise of paying what was owed. The realization. Director of Accounting Rebecca Thompson stood before the Galactic Council, her holographic displays showing endless streams of data. The assembled representatives from every major species watched with growing unease as she methodically laid out humanity's calculations. "As you can see," she gestured to a particularly complex equation. "When we factor in compound interest on the original terraforming technology debt, adjusted for technological inflation, and cross-referenced with resource extraction values." A Sixteri representative interrupted, mandibles clicking furiously. "This is absurd. You cannot possibly have tracked every resource extraction down to the quantum level for 50 years. Rebecca smiled, the expression reminiscent of a predator. "Actually, we did exactly that. Would you like to see the audit logs?" With a gesture, she brought up detailed records that made several alien economists visibly flinch. "But more interesting than what we took," she continued, changing the display, "is what we learned while paying our debt." The holographic displays shifted to show technological breakthroughs across hundreds of worlds. Each innovation bore the mark of human debt servants, each improvement building on the last in ways that were only now becoming clear. "Your species accepted our service as debt repayment," Rebecca explained, her voice carrying the weight of revealed truth. "In doing so, you gave us access to every major technological center in known space. Did none of you wonder why we were so insistent on proper documentation?" The Proximan representative's sensor stalks wavered in distress. "The human improvements. They weren't random innovations." "Oh, they were innovations," Rebecca confirmed, bringing up a new display showing how different technologies interconnected. "But random? No. Each improvement was designed to work with every other human-inspired advancement. We weren't just fixing your systems, we were unifying them." The council chamber erupted in chaos as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just been working off a debt. They'd been systematically studying, improving, and connecting virtually every advanced technology in known space. "Impossible," a Centaurian scientist declared, their crystalline form vibrating with agitation. "No single species could comprehend so many different technological principles." Rebecca's smile widened. "No single species working alone, no, but thousands of highly trained specialists, each studying different aspects of galactic technology, all sharing data through quantum-encrypted channels. That's a different equation entirely." She brought up another display, this one showing the true extent of human technological synthesis. "While we were diligently paying our debt, we created something new. A unified understanding of technology that crosses species boundaries and traditional limitations." The Rigelian head researcher raised several appendages in alarm. "The pattern we noticed in the improvements. You planned this from the beginning." "Since the day the Unity voided our contract," Rebecca confirmed. "You all thought our obsession with paying debts was a sign of primitive thinking. None of you considered that we might have other motivations for sending our best and brightest to work in your most advanced facilities." The display shifted again, showing how human innovations had created a web of compatible technologies spanning the galaxy. "By accepting our debt service, you gave us something far more valuable than the original terraforming technology. You gave us understanding." The council chamber fell silent as the full scope of humanity's achievement became clear. They hadn't just caught up technologically. They'd surpassed many of their former creditors in key areas. "But why?" the Sixteri representative demanded. "Why go to such lengths?" "Because humanity always pays its debts," Rebecca replied, her tone serious. "We owed you for the terraforming technology. Now that debt is paid, with interest, but in the process we've earned something else. A seat at the Galactic table, not as debtors, but as equals. She gestured one final time, and the displays showed the current state of human technology. Several council members gasped as they realized what they were seeing. The debt is settled, Rebecca concluded. The only question remaining is, how will you deal with a species that turned debt repayment into the greatest technological revolution in galactic history? The council chamber remained silent, as species across the galaxy began to realize that humanity's dedication to paying their debts had transformed them from primitive debtors into one of the most technologically advanced civilizations in known space. The power shift. Admiral David Anderson stood on the command deck of the ECS Hyperion, Earth's first quantum-dimensional warship. Through the view screen, he watched as representatives from every major galactic power arrived for the emergency summit. Each vessel incorporated technology that humanity had improved during their decades of debt service. Ironic, isn't it? He commented to his executive officer. They're arriving in ships we secretly helped design, using navigation systems we optimized, protected by shields we enhanced, all while trying to decide if we're a threat. The summit was being held on neutral ground, a massive space station orbiting a distant pulsar. As Anderson's shuttle approached the station, he couldn't help but notice how many of its systems bore the subtle marks of human innovation. Inside the grand chamber, the atmosphere crackled with tension. Species that had once viewed humans as primitive debt servants now watched them with a mixture of fear and bewilderment. Anderson took his place at the podium, activating a holographic display that filled the chamber. Distinguished representatives, he began, you've all reviewed Director Thompson's presentation on our technological advancements. Now, let me show you what we didn't reveal. The display shifted, showing a comprehensive map of known space. Points of light indicated every location where humans had served their debt. During our service, we didn't just study your technology. We mapped every major military installation, analyzed every defense system, and identified every strategic choke point in known space. Anderson's voice remained calm, but the implications made several representatives shift uncomfortably. The Proximan defense grid. We didn't just improve it. We understand it better than its creators. The Centaurian quantum drives. We've advanced the technology beyond your current theories. The 6 Terry neural networks. We've unified them with 6 other species' computational systems. He highlighted specific sectors, showing how human improvements had created an interconnected web of compatible technologies. We didn't just repay our debt. We transformed the technological landscape of the galaxy. The Regellian Prime Speaker raised several appendages. Is this a threat, Admiral? Anderson's expression softened. Quite the opposite. This is an invitation to something unprecedented. True technological cooperation across species lines. The display shifted again, showing new technological frameworks that merge the best aspects of every species' innovations. We humans are awed by galactic standards. When we say we'll pay a debt, we don't just mean resources or currency. We repay knowledge with knowledge, innovation with innovation. But why? A 6 Terry counselor demanded. Why go to such lengths? Because humanity understands something that seems to have been forgotten in galactic politics, Anderson replied. True advancement doesn't come from hoarding knowledge or maintaining technological superiority. It comes from synthesis, from combining different perspectives to create something greater than the sum of its parts. He brought up images of human specialists working alongside alien scientists, showing how their debt service had fostered genuine cooperation and understanding. Yes, we mapped your military installations. Yes, we studied your weaknesses. But we also found your strengths, your unique insights, your brilliant innovations that no other species had fully appreciated. The chamber hummed with murmured discussions as Anderson revealed humanity's true achievement. They hadn't just achieved technological parity. They'd created a framework for unprecedented galactic cooperation. The debt is paid, he concluded. But the relationships we've built, the bridges we've created between different technological traditions, those are worth far more than any resource exchange or technology transfer. The Proximan High Commander's sensor stalks waved thoughtfully. You turned debt service into a technological revolution without firing a shot. Anderson smiled. We're humans. We pay our debts. If that payment happens to revolutionize galactic technology and create the foundation for a new era of cooperation, well, consider that interest on the original transaction. As the summit continued, representatives began to realize that humanity's rise to power wasn't a threat to be contained, but an opportunity to be embraced. They had transformed from debt servants into technological leaders not through conquest or coercion, but through an unwavering commitment to repaying what they owed, with interest that would reshape the galaxy forever. The New Order. Senator Elizabeth Carter stood in Earth's newly constructed Galactic Embassy, reviewing the final draft of the Unified Technologies Accord. The document represented something unprecedented in galactic history, a framework for technological cooperation between all major species. Quite different from the contract Dr. Miller reviewed all those years ago. She mused to Admiral Anderson, who stood beside her at the quantum glass window overlooking the Mars terraforming project, now enhanced by synthesis of technologies from 12 different species. The galaxies change, Anderson replied, watching automated constructors weave new atmospheric processors into the red planet's sky. And we changed it without firing a single shot. The embassy itself stood as a testament to humanity's new approach to galactic relations. Every system, from its quantum computing cores to its gravity manipulation fields, represented a perfect fusion of technologies from multiple species. More importantly, each innovation was carefully documented, shared, and improved upon through collaborative effort. A holographic alert indicated the arrival of the Galactic Council representatives. Carter straightened her uniform as the chamber filled with delegates from every major civilization. The Zixteri, Proximans, Centaurians, and Rigelians had once viewed humans as primitive debtors. Now they came as equals, and in some cases, as students. Distinguished representatives, Carter began, her voice carrying across the chamber. Today we formalize what began as a simple matter of debt repayment. The Unified Technologies Accord represents humanity's vision for the future: open collaboration, shared innovation, and mutual advancement. The holographic displays showed the results of the first joint research projects. Technologies that had once been jealously guarded secrets were now being combined in ways that benefited all species. Humanity's dedication to paying its debts changed more than just our technological standing, Carter continued. It changed how the galaxy thinks about knowledge itself. When we sent our specialists to serve in your facilities, we didn't just learn your technologies. We learned to see them as pieces of a greater whole. The Proximan representatives' sensor stalks waved in agreement. The human approach to technological synthesis has proven revolutionary. Our own researchers now study how your debt servants approached problems. Because we didn't just copy your technologies, Carter explained. We understood them. We saw connections you hadn't explored. When we improved your systems, we weren't just optimizing code or refining processes. We were building bridges between different technological traditions. The displays shifted to show the new Galactic Research Initiative headquarters under construction near Jupiter. The facility would host scientists from every species, working together on projects that would have been impossible for any single civilization. The old order was built on suspicion and separation, Carter observed. Species hoarded their technological advantages, seeing them as weapons to wield or secrets to protect. We showed there was another way. The Centaurian delegate's crystalline form sparkled with enthusiasm. The human concept of paying forward technological debt has transformed our understanding of innovation itself. Carter smiled. Because true advancement doesn't come from keeping secrets. It comes from sharing knowledge, from seeing how different perspectives can illuminate the same problem. Our debt repayment strategy proved that. The chamber's displays showed the spread of human-inspired technological synthesis across known space. Worlds that had once been bitter rivals were now collaborating on projects that merged their unique insights. The debt that started this journey is paid, Carter concluded. But the real transformation isn't in our technological advancement or our new political standing. It's in how we've changed the galaxy's understanding of progress itself. As the delegates signed the Unified Technologies Accord, Carter exchanged knowing looks with Anderson. Humanity had achieved something far greater than mere technological parity or political power. They had transformed galactic civilization's fundamental approach to innovation and cooperation. Your species turned debt repayment into a revolution, the Zixteri representative observed. We still don't fully understand how you planned it all. Carter's smile held centuries of human determination. We didn't plan everything. We just did what humans always do. We paid what we owed, learned everything we could, and shared what we learned. The revolution. That was just compound interest on the original debt. As the ceremony concluded, the phrase, "humans always pay their debts," echoed through the chamber. But now it wasn't a joke or a threat. It was a reminder that the most powerful force in the galaxy wasn't technology or weapons, but the simple human principle of honoring obligations, no matter the consequences.